Hey, good evening. It's Monday night. Welcome to the Montreal Expos team preview show. I'm Joey Buckholtz. Tonight we are going to reveal the Montreal Expos roster for 2021. As we do every night, I have the starting lineup for the Expos opening day. I got a personal phone call from Felipe Alou this morning. Of course, as is the case every night, all the managers have my direct line, just like on Batman. My original guest, Greg Maternowski, he may still join us later, but we're having some technical issues. But I do have a surprise guest, someone that a lot of you know very well. We're going to bring him on shortly. He's going to share some baseball memories. We're going to talk about some of the things he's doing on Facebook that I love. And at the end of the show, we'll get to any comments or questions you have for myself or my guests. But let's reveal that special surprise guest. A lot of you know this gentleman. You may belong to some of his other groups that, quite frankly, I'm addicted to. One of them is called Baseball, A Way of Life. The other, I don't have the complete name, but he's going to share that for us. It's called the Fun Stuff Group. We get to vote on anything from our favorite sitcoms to serials that we enjoy. Your friend and mine, ladies and gentlemen, Stan Phillips.
Hey, Joey, how's it going?
Doing good.
I love the hat, by the way, keeping the Montreal Expos alive and well.
And I love that we've got, I've got a blue shirt, you've got a red shirt, so we are representing Montreal tonight.
We need the guy with the white shirt. Where's he?
We're trying to get him on.
Okay.
Hopefully he'll figure it out. If we can't get to Greg tonight, we'll have Greg on very soon. But before we get to the Expo stuff, Stan, I want to tell you, you and I have known each other now for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just saying this. I look forward to everything that you post every day. I love voting on serials. I love voting on sitcoms. I want you to tell us about your groups. One of them is called, now give me the full name. It's the Fun Stuff Group.
Joey, I don't even know the full name of it. I have to check. I made it up a couple years ago, and my memory is so bad. I think it's the Fun Stuff Group. I can't. Holy shit. Sorry. Am I allowed to curse on this show?
Yes, you are. It's actually required.
Oh, good. Then you got the perfect guest host. The Fun Stuff Group, ... You want to laugh and have some fun. That's the official name.
That's perfect. I mean, we're doing all those things in the group. And then the other one, which I love as well, is Baseball, A Way of Life. And you are on YouTube now.
Yeah, basically what I'm doing is posting videos, one a day, based on the hot topic of the day in the group. And it's fun for me. I have to be honest, I kind of do it for myself because that way I can express myself as to what I see and everything. And sometimes I don't think I can do so just by typing something on the group site. So I do this so people can actually see who I am, hear who I am, and basically share what I feel about what's going on in the group and the baseball world in general. And so far, it's a work in progress. I'm enjoying it, and I hope everyone else is too. And the group itself is always a work in progress, but we've really blossomed in the past 6 months or a year. We've gone, I think in the past year, we went from 3,000 to over 9,600 members. So we've really taken off. And we always have some great members in the group. And I'm glad you're aboard because you are so enthusiastic about baseball. You enjoy the sport. You never have anything bad to say about anybody. Unlike me, sometimes I can lose it, but I keep it in check. I don't mean any harm to anybody, but your enthusiasm, it rubs off on everybody when you post and talk in the group. And I thank you for being a member. I've been checking out your site. Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. This is your show.
No, it's not my show. I'm just part of it. I'm a little nut in the squirrel's world.
I think people are tired of me.
Well, I'm getting tired of you, Joey, but that's besides the point. No, but what was I going to say now? I was distracted.
You were being complimentary to me.
Yeah, and that's what you want to hear, more compliments about yourself. I get it. No, No, in the group itself, basically what I want to do is I do it for me. I love baseball history, and until I started this group, I really wasn't dedicated on learning about the past. But when you run a group like I have, because we have on this date in baseball history, as you know, we have a trivia question, we have baseball Jeopardy, we have the feud question of the day, and it makes this noggin work. And I have to go and do research on everything I post. So my baseball knowledge has multiplied tremendously since I started this. And basically, it's a labor of love. And if anyone enjoys it, that's great. And I appreciate that. But I think a lot of people do, and a lot of people are active in there. And I hope what I'm learning from the group, others are learning too. 99.9% of people in the group are fantastic. And you can see, I see your enthusiasm in your group, and you're growing fast too. And pretty soon you'll be up there too in the numbers. But numbers don't mean everything, Joey. Joey, it means quality. And I see you have a lot of people responding to what you have out there, and that's good. And you have interesting topics on your group where people want to talk about what you post. My whole key with my group is just to have conversation about baseball. And so far, I'm enjoying it, and I think other people are too. And I have a good feeling that a lot of people that will watch this or in your group are also in my group too. So a little self-promotion, cross-promotion, there's nothing wrong with that. And you're always welcome to post anything, a video, anything you want from your site on my site. You have my blessing. So
I really appreciate it. And yeah, as you've been welcoming new members to your group, I've just been saying, hey, this is what I'm doing too. And I love that different groups that are doing different things can kind of help each other out. One of the things that I think we've both seen in the last week, and I know you addressed it in a video, it was either yesterday or the day before, is the friendly conversation we're having about one George Herman Ruth. One of the things that I believe for anything baseball related, and this could relate to any sport in general, is I think everything is up for debate.
Right.
There are facts that you can't deny. Like the Yankees have won the most championships. You can't deny that. Tom Brady has won the most Super Bowls. But when I look at something subjective as who the greatest is of all time, I think that's the greatest conversation to have, because there really is no right answer. There's no wrong answer. It's all subjective.
Right.
The thing of it is, if you have 32 managers of baseball teams, each one of them is probably looking for something different in what they're trying to build to win games. So if you take someone like Ruth, who hit 714 homers, he's probably tops all time in OPS and slugging and all that. But then there's another piece of that conversation, like can he win you games in other ways? Was he a leader in the clubhouse? Stuff like that. And that's why I think the conversation is fascinating, because I've actually opened my mind, because I've always said it's Mays. But when I hear someone say it's Ruth and they can back it up with facts, then I think we all come a little bit closer together to have a better understanding. I was pleasantly surprised last night when someone put me on the spot and said, all right, give me 4 right now that are better than Babe Ruth. And I said Mays, Hornsby, Wagner, and Williams. And I thought I was going to get crucified. And he came back and he said, I can see your argument in all 4 of those. So I like that type of conversation where we can disagree but not like hate each other because of it. And I think when you do that, you kind of meet in the middle for a lot of this stuff. And that's my favorite part of any of these baseball groups, is learning and just having those fun conversations.
No, I agree with you. And I am one who thinks that the Babe is the greatest of all time. And the reason being is just what he did to baseball to change the game as far as offense. No one hit as many home runs as he did till he came along. And he basically was a threat. The only other person I could think of like that in any lineup was Barry Bonds. And people are going to take it away from Bonds too, because he did steroids, but he was just a great player too. Granted, now you're talking about Willie Mays. He was a 5-tool player. I get that. In no way Ruth was a great fielder like Mays, a thrower, a runner, or whatever. But I think Babe had such an impact offensively that he changed the game just being in the lineup all the time. Now, Mays was a great hitter and everything, but I think people just feared the Babe and Barry Bonds when they came up. And like I said, Babe, his numbers for his era were just phenomenal. And no one, he out-homered 2 teams every year he played. So in that regard, it's hard to say that anyone had a bigger offensive impact on the game. And sometimes, and the Yankees didn't have great pitching staffs, but he was the center of that lineup. And they had good pitching staffs, don't get me wrong, but they weren't dominant like they could have been because the Yankees were so good that they were able to out-hit everybody. They never really had major pitching stars. They had quality all-star type pitchers, but never a dominant ace on the mound. But they didn't need to with that lineup, and Babe was the reason why. Now, Willie Mays would be the best now, again, it's all arguments, and
Sure.
Willie Mays is probably the best all-around player of all time. Who would I pick for my team? That's tough to say. I mean, I'm always a fan of defense and offense and pitching, the Earl Weaver philosophy. But when you have a hitter like Babe in there, you can make up for the defensive shortcomings of other players just by having Babe in the lineup. So it's hard to say if Babe is the greatest of all time, but you put a gun to my head, I would choose Babe. So.
And the numbers will not deny that he is, without a doubt, the most dominant player of his or any era. That really can't be disputed because we are looking at numbers as compared to people that played in the same era. And there's no question that Babe Ruth was the most dominant athlete of his era, of any sport of all time. So yeah, it's a great conversation to have.
Right.
Now, Stan, you are a Mets fan, is this correct?
Yes, my history with the Mets started in 1969. I will turn 60 years old this year. So I was old enough to remember the 69 season, and that was my first season. And it took off from there. Went to the ballpark a lot. And what a lot of people may not know is that I was actually a vendor at Chase Stadium from 1981 to 1994.
Nice.
So I saw the bad era in the early 80s. I was working there in the mid-80s when they actually dominated the New York baseball world. People forget that the Mets had a stranglehold on New York baseball for a 5-year period in the 80s and almost 1990. Yep. And then I was there at the end, and then the strike came, and I just retired. And I also, I hate to say this, but I'm not a Yankee fan, but I respect the Yankees. And I also worked at Yankee Stadium year 2000. So a lot of people see me at the ballpark, probably bought a beer for me at one time or another. And when I retired from there, I just became basically a Met plan holder. And right now I have a full season ticket there. Don't go to all the games. I just pass the tickets on to other people who need them. But it's always good to have the tickets in hand. And my passion is the Mets. As I've gotten older, I've gotten more of an appreciation for every team. So I don't live and die with every Met win or loss, but I'm always happy when they win. But I just want to see good baseball played no matter what. I'll watch any game at any time. And that was not always the case when I was younger. It was always Mets. But now I actually enjoy watching Mike Trout play against Minnesota. You know, it's baseball is my first love as opposed to just the Mets, but I'll always be a Mets fan.
That's kind of how I am. As I get older, I don't, as you said, I don't live and die by the wins and losses as much as just appreciating getting to hear, Gary, Keith, and Ron. I've got the MLB package, so I get all the Mets games. I think cable does a good job giving us a nice supplement. So I don't need to see all the games for all the teams, but if I can have access to the Mets, watch a Sunday night game, watch a little bit of MLB, listen to the Brewers. That is a good amount of baseball for me at this age. Whereas when I was a kid, I could probably eat up every inning of every, because you had Cubs on WGN, you had the Braves on TBS. Mets games back then were on WOR, so I would get Mets games every night.
And that was probably a super station where you lived too, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I started watching Mets. The Mets and Cubs the same year was 84. And the Mets broadcasters were Ralph Kiner and Tim McCarver. And for the Cubs, it was Harry Carey and Steve Stone. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Harry Carey's first or second year with the Cubs, because he had just left the White Sox in like 81 or 82, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Harry took over the town, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was just amazing. So like I'm a baseball fan first. I got hooked on the Mets in '84 because I was watching Cubs games with my grandma every home day game, and then at night or the weekends I would watch the Mets. And it really wasn't until like 97, 98 when the Brewers moved to the National League, and then they were in the same division as the Cubs. Then I can't root for the Cubs and Brewers at the same time if they're playing each other 18 times a year. So I haven't really rooted for the Cubs in quite a while. But if I'm ranking all 30 teams, I would still say, because of the history of watching those games with Grandma, they're probably in my top 10 that if they're on, I'll watch them. I love Pat Hughes. Pat Hughes was he actually worked with Bob Uecker for about 10 years with the Brewers before he got the Cubs job. So I love it all. I could watch high school, college, the KBO. I could watch anything baseball related, and I'm happy. Yeah.
It's funny. It took me about 10 years to realize the Brewers were actually in the National League and the Astros were in the American League when they moved. So it's tough to remember that they switched leagues all the time. I still think of the Brewers as an American League team and the Astros as a National League team. But
yeah, it is kind of weird because, the reason I like the Brewers in the National League is I personally have always preferred the National League style of baseball. I'm not a proponent of the DH. So when the Brewers switched over, I kind of liked it. But at the same time, last year when they did the piloting the universal DH, I didn't mind it because I think now, because you don't really have an American League and National League, we don't have American League and National League presidents anymore. So it all kind of falls under one umbrella of the commissioner.
Same with the umpires too. Yeah.
Same with the umpires. So I think at some point it's just going to make sense. And I hate saying it, I hate admitting it, but just adopting the DH in the National League so that all the rules are the same in both leagues, because I know the American League's never going to get rid of it. Just based on the players' union, you can't just get rid of jobs at this point. It's sad because I think the National League is the last league that doesn't use it, except for the Utopian Baseball Universe. We don't.
And you guys even have the Expos in the league.
we have the Expos, and that's a great segue because we're going to talk about the Expos here shortly. For those of you, we have 60 new members in the last 2 days alone. So if you're watching this for the first time tonight, basically what the Utopian Baseball Universe is, it's a fictitious. It's an alternate reality. So we have 30 teams in the major leagues. I brought back the Montreal Expos. I brought up, if you will, the Durham Bulls. The Durham Bulls are a member of the Utopian Baseball Universe. And then I basically just filled the rosters with all the all-time greats, a lot of my favorites. Some players I specifically only knew from baseball cards I collected as a kid. But what's unique about the Expos and the Bulls, especially as it relates to 2021, is that there's nothing current that I can use to fill these rosters. I only have, that 40-year history for the Expos, zero history for the Bulls as it relates to MLB. So some of the players you hear tonight are current major leaguers that just didn't make the other rosters. So you'll see some examples here in a minute. And then going forward, the players that get called up for each major league team, if they make a splash in the majors, you'll see them in the Utopian. And again, you'll just see some random players pop up from Montreal and Durham just to kind of even it out. But the way we determine results, this isn't like a simulation where I feed stuff into a computer and it tells me who wins. I simply created a spreadsheet that has every date in the history of Major League Baseball in the regular season. It's about 3,000 dates. And then I use a random number generator to pull a date. So let's say, for example, it pulls, May 5th, 1958. Then there's a bunch of numbers next to that date that basically, like if there were 10 games that day, you'll see numbers 1 through 10 in a random order. And then those box scores simply get copied and pasted into my schedule. So if you see a number 3 next to the date, that means the third game on that date is the result for my first game, and then so on. And then what I do is I do a recap show every night to give everyone the results and then report it as if it's actually happening. So it's just like a 7-month story. We did it last year with 60 members. We had 60 members on the last day of the year. The Braves beat the Reds in the championship. In the off season, we brought in another 20 people. And then on February 1st, I started reaching out to folks like you. And then through you, I met Rick Lendenberg, and I met some other people. And then they started telling people, and they started telling people. And as of right now, we have 415 members. So we had 83 3 weeks ago. And then just through word of mouth, we're up to 415, and we've brought in 60 people in the last 2 days. So it's people like you, Stan, and Rick, and Jamie Howell, and Greg Maternowski, and Mitch Nellis, and everyone that's come in and loves the idea and is sharing it. You guys are the universe, so I appreciate it very much. Can't tell you how much I love you guys for making it grow.
Well, I wish you well. You got a good man behind the project in you, so I hope it works. And I know it will work, so.
I appreciate it. And, just to piggyback on what you said earlier, it really isn't about how big this gets. My goal 3 weeks ago was to double it. Like if I got to 150 members, I would have been like, this is a success. And now we're at 420 or whatever, 415, 420. I've received 2 requests since the show started. So later tonight we'll be up to 417. So I'm very appreciative. Hopefully we have some Montreal Expos fans watching tonight. We're going to get to some highlights of their schedule right now before we reveal the roster. And then if you are commenting or have any questions, we're going to get to those in about 5 minutes. So thank you for being with us and commenting. But let's look at the schedule right now. The Montreal Expos are going to actually open their season at home against the champion Braves, Friday, March 26th. The Expos and Braves on opening day. Then on Memorial Day, we've got the Expos hosting the Yankees. On Independence Day, the Expos are going to host Colorado. On Labor Day, they'll be on the road at Baltimore. And then Montreal's going to finish their season at home against our New York Mets. So Expos Braves to start the season. Who's going to be playing for the Expos on opening day? Well, let's get to that right now. Leading off and playing left field, Tim Raines. Batting second, just signed to the roster 2 months ago, shortstop from the Negro Leagues, Willie Wells. Playing shortstop and batting second for the Expos. Batting third, center field for this game, Vlad Guerrero. Cleanup hitter will be right fielder Andre Dawson. Batting fifth and catching, Gary Carter. I know that question came up earlier today. Is Carter going to be a Met or an Expo? We're doing okay with Piazza behind the plate. So I love the kid, but he's an Expo. Batting sixth will be first baseman Luke Vogt. So this is an example of a current player. Luke Volt's not going to get at bats over Lou Gehrig or Don Mattingly. So Luke Vogt makes sense here for the Expos. Batting sixth and playing first base. Batting seventh will be Tim Wallach playing third base. Batting eighth, second baseman Delino DeShields. And then here's a guy that last year led the league in wins, was fifth in ERA, finished second in the most valuable pitcher award, Steve Rogers, and who an unlikely star last year is going to get an opening day start against the champion Braves Steve Rogers is going to anchor a rotation that's going to see Dennis Martinez get the ball in game 2. Zach Wheeler joins the Montreal Expos in 2021 as the 3rd starter. And then the Expos start a series with the Durham Bulls on Monday. We're going to see Bryn Smith, Corbin Burns, another current player I believe he's still in the Brewers organization. And then Steve Rogers is going to wrap around and get a 2nd start of the year against Durham. The Expos also have Jeff Facero and Javier Vasquez on this roster in case there's a need there. So any thoughts here about what we see for the opening day and the starting rotation as it relates to these Montreal Expos? And let's look at the bench. These players are also on the roster. These guys are going to be on the bench for at least the first game. We've got Yasmani Grandal, Andre Scalaraga, Jose Vidro, Eugenio Suarez, again, another current player, Hubie Brooks, Marquise Grissom, Moises Alou, and Rusty Staub. A couple of Mets ties on this roster. Hubie, Rusty Staub. And then the bullpen this year, we've got Jeff Reardon, Aaron Bummer, Mel Rojas, Woody Fryman, Tim Burke, Gil Heredia, and Stan Banson. Any thoughts, Stan, on this Expos team? Did I leave anyone out?
No, I love the fact that you reunited Hubie with Gary Carter. That's very nice of you. So there's no ill will between those two. You got good bats coming off the bench. Now, is there a designated hitter? No, there is no designated hitter.
There is no designated hitter in the Utopian Baseball Universe. In my universe, pitchers can hit like they did when I played Little League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
When I played, and this didn't apply to every player, but most of our pitchers would also play short or center and hit third. I believe, and again, this could be a conversation for another night. I think the reason pitchers aren't hitting as well in this day and age is that they're just not working on it. And I think that's an organizational choice. I think that's the choice of Major League Baseball to say, hey, you know what? We're paying this guy $200 million. We want him to pitch every 5th day.
Well, that's it. They're conceding the automatic out with the pitcher. And at that point, it's no longer fun to have a pitcher batting. Because in the past, when you had batting practice, the pitchers were the first group out there. Yeah, everybody batted every day. Now that just doesn't happen. And when your whole minor league system doesn't have pitchers batting, what are you going to do when you get to the major leagues? You can't hit when you get to the major leagues. Yeah, so even those with talent like Madison Bumgarner or Jake DeGrom who can hit, we're amazed when they get hits or can hit the ball. But in reality, they're not that great a hitter. They're just pitchers who can not embarrass themselves up the plate and get an occasional hit.
Yeah.
I mean, they may crank one out of the ballpark by mistake, but they're no longer the hitters they once were 30, 40 years ago. And I'm like you in the fact that I was so anti-DH all these years, but it's gotten to the point now when you take pitchers out constantly. It used to be a positional switch. So you'd move the pitcher into the number 5 slot and have the right fielder now bat 9th because the pitcher was due up 9th.
Yeah.
That doesn't even happen anymore because the pitcher comes in and out of the game 3 times in 2 innings. So even that strategy's gone. So as far as strategical point, as leaving the pitcher in or not, even that strategy's kind of flown by the window. So it's no longer viable like it once was. So as much as I hate to admit it, and like you said, the American League and the National League, there's not much separation in the way the game is played anymore because you have the same umpires. You basically have interleague play. At this point, you might as well have either everyone batting who's a pitcher or have the designated hitter. And it's an unfair advantage to the American League teams if they can have designated hitters all season long and National League teams have their pitchers bat, embarrass themselves, and possibly get hurt. So, and I think that's the big factor more than anything. If you're not going to be serious about batting, you're only going to get hurt physically. And we've seen that happen a lot. Even Jacob deGrom a couple years ago, there was a big scare when he was up at the plate that he hurt himself.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose your pitcher at this point, especially when pitchers mean so much at this point, because they're a rare commodity. They throw their arms out. The last thing you want them to do is hurt themselves batting. So, yes, when I look back at films from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, I love National League Baseball. But the strategy element is now gone because it's now a 3-pitch outcome. I mean, there's no stealing, there's no hit and runs, there's no bunting anymore. Even a pitcher bunted, it goes against the way the game is played today. So,
yeah,
I'm glad your league has it. It's good memories, and but in the real world, in today's 2021 baseball, I'm almost conceding the fact it's time for the DH. So
yeah, it's going to happen, and it might not happen this year because, again, just everything's weird within a pandemic. But I'm predicting by it's going to be in the next collective bargaining. I hate to admit this, but I feel like there is going to be some sort of work stoppage in the next year or two. Hopefully, they resolve things in the off season, but I think in the next collective bargaining, you're going to see a universal DH, and I'm just going to have to accept it. What are you going to do?
My thought on that, and it's just a thought, is if they don't institute the designated hitter before this season begins, we could have a delayed start next year because that's going to be the major issue going in there. And the owners, I don't take sides, but the owners aren't afraid to play hardball. And sooner or later, the players always cave in. So they'll give them the DH, and there'll be sacrifices made by a player somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Stan, we have a ton of comments, so let's see what we have here. It's probably just a bunch of people saying, "Where the hell's Greg?"
Is Greg that popular?
Greg is the coolest person I've ever met, and
all right, that's good to hear.
He was supposed to be my guest tonight with you. We had some issues getting him on, so we're gonna have him on as soon as we can. So let's. I'm not going to highlight all of these, but some of these are just people saying hi. Geeker saying salutations. Someone posted a picture of something. I can't see it because I'm not in Facebook right now. Andy says, great content in Stan's baseball group. Highly recommend. Yes.
Thank you, Andrew.
As soon as I'm done tonight, I'm going to invite probably 50 more people because I love it. Let's see. Someone says, Boots enjoys reading. Now, is Boots, that sounds like a pet. Is that someone's pet? That sounds like a kitten or a puppy.
Are they in the wrong show?
I don't know. I feel like I should be wearing less clothes. Tim says great groups. We love having Tim. Tim was our guest a couple nights ago. We got some more pictures. Let's see. Someone says you probably heard of Brett Barbary. Made his debut in '91. Took over Tim Wallach at third. My brother played baseball at South Carolina with Brett. Great guy. I don't remember him. Do you remember him, Stan?
No, I don't. If I put on my thinking cap, I may get a flashback, but no, I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Yep. For me, the greatest Expos moment was Ellis Valentine's laser from deep right in the outro video for This Week in Baseball and his appearance on Fantasy Island. Well, guess what? I'm going to YouTube right after to see that Fantasy Island.
You're not mentioning Ellis's Mets career?
Yeah. Yeah,
it was nothing to speak of, but let's mention it.
let's just throw it out there. Someone says Andre Dawson, fastest hands I've ever seen. Andrew says I told a guy in a yacht rock group last night that I could score on prime MJ if given 10 chances. All right, first of all, Andrew, let's get us into this yacht rock group. If there's a yacht rock group that I'm missing out on, I need to be a part of this. Babe could pitch. Someone says he indeed could pitch. Tim says, where is the beer and bar stools for this debate? I'm drinking a lemon water. This is not a lemonade, but it's just lemon-flavored water. It's Starburst flavored.
Yeah, I'm just drinking water because if I drank anything hard, then I'd be let loose, and you don't want to see that. That's not pretty sometimes.
Tim says that this bench is as good as the starters. This is a good team. I think they're going to compete this year.
You got some bats on the bench, that's for sure.
Yep, got to get the spaceman in there. A nice change of pace. Now, that's a reference to Bill Lee, I'm guessing?
Yes, he pitched for the Expos like in 79, 78-ish.
Did he? Well, guess what? He's
But
going
they
to.
actually had a very good, you mentioned Steve Rogers. He was on that team. Ross Grimsley. I don't know if you remember Ross Grimsley. You're probably younger than I, but he was a 20-game winner with the Expos.
Yeah.
He came very close to winning the Cy Young Award, too, I think, that one year he won 20. But they had a really good – the Expos from like 79 to 82, 83, they were as good as they came. They
Nice.
just never won it.
Someone now is referencing that comment from earlier. It says, that's the picture. Boots Day baseball card. Every year, the fun fact that Topps gave us was Boots enjoys reading. So as soon as the telecast is over, I'm going to have to check out this picture.
That's the other thing. The Expos, they had unique names. Boots Day, John Bacabella, Coco LaBoy. They were good with the names.
Yep. Stan, tonight, feel free to post both of your groups within the group, because it doesn't have to be exclusively about baseball. We have a lot of people talking about sports podcasts, but your fun stuff group, to me, it makes my day more enjoyable, because we're just talking about things that we think about every day as it is. And then how often will you be posting videos to your YouTube? Because feel free to share that with the group as well tonight.
Yeah, like I said, every day I'm going to try to do them earlier in the day. Lately, I've been doing them late at night. But once a day, I'm going to pick the hot topic of the day, mostly from the group or just in baseball in general, where I'll give a 5 or 6 minute video on it and how I feel. And basically, it's going to reflect the mood of the group and my opinion of what the mood of the group is. So I enjoy it. Like I said, it's a little recap of what's going on in the group every day. So hopefully people will enjoy it. We're getting some people watching. That's nice.
Yeah.
And like I said, I do it so every day, 5 o'clock in the morning, I schedule, as you run a Facebook group yourself, you can schedule things.
Yeah.
So you wake up 5 in the morning, you'll see the 5 prominent baseball birthdays of the day. You'll see how many days it is until opening day. Then around 12 o'clock, we'll have whoever's birthday it is. I try to have, when I say it's Rusty Staub's birthday today, I'll say, when I say Rusty Staub, what's the first thing that pops into your head? And then we have a whole thread of people. And it's interesting if you actually take the time to read what everybody has written, you get a nice little summary of people's perception of that player and a lot of highlights of their career and their personality, etc. And then 3 o'clock every day, we always have the question of the day. I try to think of what is the hot question of the day. It could be about a player. It could be about a team. It could be something in the news. And then we have a discussion on that. And then at 9 o'clock every night, I usually have a poll based on that question of the day. So it's like a little summary to poll, and you can say how you felt about that question. Yes, no, maybe, whatever the situation may ask for, you can answer it in the poll. And what usually at 6:30 we have captioned this photo. We put a photo which I try to make it unique, so it's either something funny or something unique about baseball, and people run with it, and they'll just put whatever they want, like what they think of when they see the photo. Then at 7:30 we have Baseball Feud. I throw something out there and you answer it like Family Feud style. Whatever the first answer comes into your head, you throw it down. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Then 8 o'clock, it's for the, I don't mean to sound snobbish, but we have our Baseball Jeopardy, and they're hard. I purposely make them hard.
They are tough.
They are. Even like I have to do research on those, and that's what stirs my baseball brain, like trying to find out the tough question to ask, or I don't even know how you would say it with Jeopardy, but clues on there.
Sure.
And they're hard. So we had one gentleman last year, Maxwell Cates. I don't know how the hell he did it, but he answered like out of 365 days, he got 92 right. And I think that's something that will never be broken. It's like, it's phenomenal what he did. He was answering like 10 of those a month correctly. And I couldn't even answer one of them, and I was the one making them up. But it's very challenging, and it gets your brain going. And then we just do the same thing. And then whenever I see something on Twitter or something happening, I find in The Athletic or any other news source I'm going to, I'll post something about that. So the main source of what I'm trying to do is actually just have people enjoy baseball, talk baseball, and get stimulated by the game and the conversation. And like I said, great people like you who come aboard are making the site fun. And I want to thank you for allowing me to promote it a little bit. And like I said, you're always welcome to promote your site too, because you have a unique concept. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who would like to follow that also. So good luck with that. And I wish you nothing but the best. And
Well,
I'll be checking in all the time.
I've loved having you on tonight. I'd love to have you on, during the season.
Without a doubt.
We are doing another trivia tournament this summer. So if that's something that you'd like to be a part of, we had 8 people for the previous one. I'd like to have a lot more for this summer. So again, thank you to Stan for being here tonight. I'm sorry we couldn't have Greg. Greg is commenting right now. He says, "What's up? Sorry I wasn't on." Greg, we're going to have you on soon. We have so much to talk about. We'll get that figured out. Greg is he could have his own show in this group. He's got so much baseball knowledge, and we grew up together. So we're going to have Greg on at some point. So again, thanks to Stan. Tomorrow's show is going to be the LA Dodgers. It's going to be a later start to get the West Coast folks in. So 9 o'clock tomorrow, Central Time. Rick Lenenberg, who's brought in like 100 of you, he's going to be the guest tomorrow. Wednesday night, I've got Mark Weber from Eternal Baseball. So we've got 2 really big shows coming up in the next couple days. For Stan Phillips, I'm Joey Buchholz, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks again, guys. Take care.